Hello and what is going on today, guys? Tomcat here, and welcome to a brand new video where we are going to have some MudRunner gameplay in the background, but we are going to be talking about SnowRunner. Now, if you are of the school of thought that over the past month or so, SnowRunner news has been a little scarce, you would be right, because you would be in the same school of thought as me, because I really haven't had much to report on since the devs really have not been letting all that much out there into the light. Now, over the past week or so, and then coming over into today, there are some new things that I finally feel like I have enough to share with you guys to actually create a full video on. Because I'm not going to make a short video where we just talk about one or two things. Like that, I feel like that's pointless, unless they are one or two very, very big things. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into all of this information. Now, the very first thing I wanted to look at is this GIF that they released online, which demonstrates a fully functional dashboard, complete with RPMs and speed, and it looks very much like a General Motors dash. It looks kind of like a Silverado dash, or maybe a Hummer H2 dash, or a Suburban dash. They're all very similar, at least GM from that era, which makes sense because there was a Hummer in one of the art pieces that they released. Now, as they have stated before, they're going big on interiors this time, and that can honestly really be seen in this particular SnowRunner shot, but in a recent announcement and update, they said that as a true simulation experience, they want to feature fully modeled interiors, complete with functional speedometer, RPMs, and simulated vehicle temperature. Now, I don't know if that just means the temperature gauge will move and that's it, or if it will actually have a genuine role in-game where you actually have to think about whether or not you overheat your vehicle. Because if temperature is actually going to play a role in gameplay and not just be a visual dynamic, that would actually be very, very interesting because it would add another little bit of depth to the game. Now, thinking about it, though, I feel like it would be one of those things that I would want to be solely restricted to hardcore mode, because in casual mode, I don't think casual players are going to be wanting to have to worry about their engine temperature all the time unless it's something that's easy to manage. Because if it's easy to manage, then I would say, then maybe they could keep it around. I mean, you got to think, what is going to coincide with an increase in temperature? Is that going to be caking mud all over the radiator? Is that going to be spending too much time at high RPMs? I'm not quite sure. That's one that we're going to have to wait and actually see what they decide to do with. Now, jumping into some of the things that were announced today, one of the main things is they showed some screenshots of some of the brand new maps, and this is one of the most beautiful shots they've shown yet, in my opinion. We've got some gorgeous landscapes, gorgeous skies, and really they keep putting more and more and more evidence out there of the fact that they are finally getting rid of that gloomy gray sky, that gloomy gray hazy sky. And if that's the true case, then I am totally ready for it. Bring it on. Now, the water looks awesome as usual. I really have never had a problem with the water reflections and the water quality in a MudRunner or Spin Tires game. And I'm sure SnowRunner will be no different. I'm sure SnowRunner will have gorgeous water. However, moving ahead, we kind of see a little bit of a return to form here in terms of the gray, hazy skies of previous games in the series. But when they actually released these shots, they said something very, very interesting, and that is, and I quote, "The SnowRunner wilds await you. Explore and overcome vast expanses of nature in Russia and the US." And they ask, which area do you look forward to exploring most? Now, I'm actually going to go ahead and extend that question to you guys, because I know for me, I like the Russian maps, but I am definitely more interested in exploring the US maps. And I think at the end of the day, I feel as though we may be seeing a bit of an idea where the hazy maps are probably going to be more of the Russian maps, whereas the maps with, maybe not necessarily like completely clear skies, but a little bit brighter light are going to be the American maps, as you guys will see in the next shot. Which brings me to this. Now, this is probably one of the most interesting shots out of the entire batch that they released because it shows a muddy trail going through what looks like more of a MudRunner American Wilds style landscape, and the sky is cloudy but bright with a bluish tint, and it looks actually kind of similar to the graphics mod I'm running in MudRunner right now, which clears up the sky and kind of makes it a little bit more blue. And in my opinion, I would be okay with some cloudy haze as long as the sky was bright, as long as the sun was bright, and as long as there was detail there, and as long as the environment had a bit of vibrance to it, right? And this shot does. And I think as long as they continue down that path of as long as they continue down that path of brightening up the environments a little bit, I think we're going to have a lot of interesting environments here to work with and play with. On an interesting side note, though, I did want to zoom in on the mud in that shot to see if it looked any different than the MudRunner mud, because I know some people were a little bit concerned that it was going to continue to be blocky on your tires, and unfortunately, it looks like it may retain some of the blocky characteristics. However, in some of the kind of off-screen screenshots off-screen pictures and gameplay videos we've seen, it doesn't look like it's going to be as blocky on the tires, but it looks like there may still be a little bit of that blockiness there. Unfortunately, it looks like that could still be the case, but in my opinion, that is in no way a game breaker or a deal breaker or anything of the sort. And last but certainly not least, we come to our next shot, which is probably one of the most interesting shots in the entire group of 4 that they released. Now, this you can see quite a lot. We see a river down on the left, we see a bridge over the river, we also see completely snow-covered landscape, and a road that very well may have black ice on it. It looks like it could, and I know they were talking about some ice being in the game and ice being a gameplay dynamic, and if that's what a road with black ice on it ends up looking like, I think it would be really cool. I definitely think that dynamic would play well into the game type and play well into the environment, and I think that it would be a nice way to kind of amp up the challenge a little bit, and it might be one of those things where it might have a little bit more of an effect in hardcore mode than it would in normal mode. And really, more than anything, it just gets me super, super hyped to jump into this game, super hyped to play through it, super hyped to share that journey with you guys. I know that when MudRunner came out, I shared that journey with you guys, and that was something that you guys definitely enjoyed, and I enjoyed it as well, because it was really just literally my raw journey through the game, and I think you guys really enjoyed that perspective on it. So let me know in the comment section below which shot and which map really drew your attention more, especially if one drew your attention more than the others. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about that. And just to touch on it real quick, because I know people are going to ask about it. Console mods in SnowRunner, the devs haven't touched on it at all, other than making that one statement that they made a while back that it is something that they want to integrate into the game post-launch. Because I've seen a lot of people out there that, for one, ask for it, and for two, say, no, shut up, there's never going to be mods on console, never, ever, ever. And the devs did state, in terms of SnowRunner, that they are looking into the potential options for integrating mods onto the console versions in a post-launch timeline. So what that says to me is that is kind of developer speak for we're thinking about it, but we're not sure, and it might happen, but it might not. So would I hold my breath for it? No. But would I say it's never going to happen? Also, no. So that's kind of where I stand in terms of that. And honestly, I really just can't wait for the game. I'm very, very excited about it at this point. The fact that it has a 2020 release is kind of one of those things where, yeah, it sucks, but at the same, because I really wanted to play it this holiday season, but at the same time, you have to assume and have to hope that by the time it comes out, it's going to be freaking good. By the time it comes out, it's going to be ready, it's going to be good, and I have faith in this game that it's going to really take everything to the next level for this series as a whole. And to touch on real quick before we end, they did release some specs on one of the vehicles in the game, the Freightliner M916A1. It's got a fuel capacity of 200 liters. The all-wheel drive is switchable. Diff lock is always on, and it takes its role as an off-road truck, which I assume will mean, you know, hauling basically it's going to be basically probably one of your, not necessarily tank vehicles, but probably one of your vehicles that you'll find within the map. Most likely not a map starter, but something that you find about halfway through a map that will help you haul trailers out of really intense areas. So definitely a truck I'm interested in seeing more of, because especially since it's the title truck and it's the cover truck, it's really, really cool, and I'm glad they went with an off-road Freightliner. I mean, those off-road Freightliners are so cool, especially like the military spec ones. Definitely interested in seeing what that truck is capable of when the game finally comes out. So if you guys enjoyed this video and feel caught up with the latest on SnowRunner, let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe for more, and I will talk to y'all later.